Hello everyone, Bruno here. Today I want to walk you through the Fair Information Practice Principles. You commonly hear me call it FIPPs. So these are a set of principles that govern or the government and the private sector use to make sure the data of the consumers or the people they collect is safe, secure, transparent, and is stored accurately. So let's dive in. So the introduction, the FIPPs are internationally acceptable guidelines, right, for managing personal data. This personal data involves the data that they collect from the individuals or their clients. So they form the backbone of many privacy regulations in both public and the private sectors. So the FIPPs provide a framework that federal agencies can use to help identify and mitigate privacy risk, right? So in these principles, it ensures that the systems handling the PII operation is transparent, is accountable, and it have a safety measures put in place. So what are some of the core principles of these FIPPs? So they have to be transparency. It have to involve individual participation such that people that the data is being collected, they have to be actively involved in the collection of the data. So the purpose and specification of the data collected have to be mentioned, right? So that those who their data is being collected have to know. So there's also the need for data minimization, such that unnecessary information should be collected, right? So there need to be a limitation of use. Data must be reused beyond the original purpose, right, without consent. So if my data is collected, for instance, they have to tell me why it's been collected, what it's being used for, and it shouldn't be used beyond that aspect. So there need to be data quality and integrity, right? It should be kept accurately and it should be up to date. What of the security concerns, right? There should be appropriate safeguards like the encryption, access control to protect data, and accountability and for auditing. Organizations collecting this data need to be accountable. So, what are some of the examples of the FIPPs? We need there have to be transparency. For instance, when the government IRS, there's a push they have to push clear privacy impact and assessments, right? So individual participation, they have need to be help portals that allow patients or users to view and correct their records if they are wrong. So data minimization. So there needs to be social security forms collected, right? That only required personal data. In the security aspect, we also have the next 800 to 53 recommends access control and encryption should be enforced. So let's compare the FIPPs with privacy laws and regulations that are out there. So the FIPPs are foundational principles, right, that many privacy laws build upon, such as the GDPR and the CCPA. So while FIPPs are voluntary and serve as a best practice model, GDP, for instance, and the CCP are legally enforceable. So it's bound by law for companies to enforce them. So in the consent aspect, all these three mentions about the privacy laws and regulations, right? The there needs to be the clear user consent before data is being collected or is being processed. So the right to access the data, right? Each framework supports individuals' right to access and review their own data. So data minimization, the FIPPs and the GDPR stress the importance of limiting data collection, right? So what is strictly necessary. CCP, for instance, provides some flexibility, so the user limitation of the data collected or promote all these the above the privacy laws and regulations or promote that there should be limit in how data can be reused. So why is FIPPs still important today? So because it offers a universal ethical benchmark, right? Unlike laws that apply in specific jurisdictions. So this helps to design systems with privacy and design. It also helps to identify gaps in policy, right? It also helps to protect against reputational risks even beyond legal compliance, right? So the FIPPs also have a rigid checklist, so they adapt to new contexts such as cloud computing that's new today or is more popular today. AI is recently new and is being implemented by so many institutions. So using FIPPs will foster a proactive culture of privacy. So application in the federal agencies, right? So there's a transparency, which there's also the purpose of specification. There's user limitation. There's security, which is highly enforced and controlled by NIST. There's auditing, right? Log and like in this resource that I did some further research in it mentions that there need to be strengthened of both public trust and organization regulate resilience. Sorry. So protecting PI through FIPPs. So there needs to be data minimization to prevent overexposure. There needs to be security and integrity, which ensure breaches are less likely to occur. User participation will allow individuals to identify errors. Maybe there's a typo in the username or date of birth or any of their personal data. And there needs to be accountability too, right? So implementations and recommendations. Embedded FIPPs into cybersecurity policies and risk assessment. If this is done, it will help to make sure that all the above mentioned policies or processes are effective, right? We can also integrate it with tools, so like in the encryption or in our SIM tools, and especially in our cybersecurity setting. So there need to be regular privacy training and simulations, especially for employees who assess and collect this data on a daily. So we also need to review the policies annually, right, in an organization setting or in a government setting to ensure that it aligns with evolving trends and technologies. So to conclude, it is important that to know the FIPPs that is essential for any cybersecurity professional in a setting, for instance. Whether you are writing a policy, designing secure systems, or responding to incidents, FIPPs will provide a guide framework for ethical and effective data handling. If we apply all these measures, we do not just meet legal requirements, right, but we also protect human dignity and foster trust in our systems. So if you want to get more knowledge about this, you can follow up with the references here. I couldn't bring more details to you because of the time constraints. Thank you.